think I'm spooky?
Be afraid. Be very afraid. What have you done to his eyes?
Good evening and welcome to Soft and Spooky. For today's video, we are going to be looking at the February horror release, Hard Eyes. If you haven't seen any of my other movie reviews, basically in the first portion, I do a spoiler-free version. So if you wanted to know my thoughts, but you still have the potential of seeing it, you won't get anything spoiled for you. But then in the second half, with plenty of heads up, don't worry, I will go more in depth and share a lot more things related to the ending. And yeah, so with that all being said, let's go ahead and sink our teeth in. Hard Eyes was directed by Josh Rubin, which when I looked at his IMDb page, I didn't really recognize many of his credits, but I did see some pictures from like either behind the scenes or on the red carpet, and I don't know, he seems like he brings a really good energy and made it a really fun environment for his actors, and I love to see that. The film was also written by two of the writers from Freaky, and you can definitely see kind of the tone they were going for. This was not meant to be like some serious, hard-hitting slasher. Like, it's definitely supposed to be a little bit funny. I felt as though as I watched Hard Eyes, I saw what they were going for. I definitely saw the vision, and I think it was a unique idea. But it didn't quite land it for like the jokes and the meta commentary. I don't know. It didn't really do it for me. We do have two lead characters that we follow. The first is Allie, who is played by Olivia Holt.
Steve Holt? Steve Holt!
And we have Jay, who is played by Mason Gooding. The premise of the film is this serial killer named the Hard Eyes Killer comes back every Valentine's Day to slay lovers and pretty much anybody that gets in their way. But for this specific Valentine's Day, what happens is that there's this misunderstanding of a work dinner between our two leads, and the Hard Eyes Killer thinks that they're a couple. So they are fighting for their lives, trying to avoid the bloody path that Hard Eyes creates. I'll be honest, there's not a ton of people that I recognize in this cast. I think like the most notable in my brain is Mason Gooding, who was also in Scream 5 and 6. He was okay in 5, but 6, he really found his vibe. I think that he does a really good job at kind of playing that hunky love interest with a heart of gold, and I found that some of his line deliveries actually were pretty good with the comedy. I do wish that he and Olivia Holt had better chemistry, not even like in a romantic way, just, I don't know, they don't really seem to relate very well. If this is supposed to kind of be a rom-com horror, I wish that Olivia had a more relatable character. She felt very disconnected from me as an audience member, and I know that the movie is purposely tongue-in-cheek, but there's a line between like, okay, how far do we separate tongue-in-cheek, like purposely over-the-top writing and just bad acting? There were a couple fun castings in the film, like we got Devon Sawa from most notably the Final Destination series, and he also was in the Chucky series. And what I had no idea, it wasn't until I looked up his IMDb, he was Casper. I didn't even know that. Overall, I don't have a ton to say without spoilers, but I think it's an okay movie. I do wish that maybe I could have waited to just see this on streaming for free as opposed to going to see it in theaters, because I don't think it was worth that value. I do think that the film did a good job with immediately hooking the audience in, because that opening scene, they jump right into the action, and I think that was definitely needed for this film. Also, unrelated, they used the song Valentine's Day or Happy Valentine's Day by Outkast. I have not thought about that song for years, and it brought me so much joy. I love me some Outkast. I definitely, some of those kills were pretty creative. There was, in the back of my head, I just kept thinking about like the couples that I wish I could have seen get demolished by this killer.
I don't want you to uproot your life and expect anything.
I am such
I wolf you.
I wolf you too.
Take your drink. Okay, you okay?
Yeah, anyway, back to the movie that I'm actually doing a video on. For the movie, I think that they were trying to take an interesting spin on a pretty straightforward slasher, and I really appreciated that. I found that to be very refreshing, and I was excited to see where they went with it. Overall, I'm not angry about seeing it. I'm just like, it was okay, very middle of the road for me, but it at least kept the entertainment. It was very entertaining to watch. So, as I said before, my personal recommendation, I would check it out. It's fun, but I would wait for it to come to streaming and then just enjoy it with some friends or a partner. I think this quite possibly might be the quickest I've still drooling. All right, and that just about does it for my spoiler-free section. I think that might be the fastest I've ever gone through that before. But if you were still interested in seeing the film, definitely click out of the video now. But before you go, definitely consider giving this video a thumbs up to help me in the algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. I am so close to 1,000, and I don't know, being a small channel, it's a pretty big milestone for me, and I'd love to keep creating content that you guys like. So definitely give it a shot. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into spoilers in 3, 2, 1, spoilers. There were a few instances that the comedy worked for me, but it was few and far between. For one, and it stuck in my head, like it kept echoing in there, but basically the killer starts murdering people at this drive-in theater, and there's one guy that's like, "Oh my god, somebody call 911!" I loved it so much for some reason, and I came to find out that was the director. How funny is that? Another moment that I did appreciate was Allie is rushing to the airport to stop Jay before he leaves, kind of like that classic cliche moment in a romance movie. And then she runs up to a guy that looks like Jay from behind. She taps on him. And I'll be honest, when he turned around, I was bracing for this like overly snarky line that everybody's just so witty and nasty. But the movie had incredible restraint. They had him say nothing. And I actually found that to be funnier. Like, I don't know, he just looked bewildered staring at her and then starts to walk away. And I don't know, sometimes less is more for me, and I thought that was effective. Still, I felt like the film had a hard time finding the balance between rom-com and horror. And I felt like some of these rom-com moments, it would grind the pacing to a screeching halt. I think one of the worst instances of this, and I hinted at it in my spoiler-free section, it's basically Jay and Allie are set up to have this work dinner thing, and it's on Valentine's Day, and so she's trying to find an outfit that doesn't feel too date-like, but also, she looks nice in. And they do like an outfit try-on thing. It went on for so long. And like, I get it. I get that there's this trope in rom-coms and comedy movies where it's like this silly goose outfit try-on, and hey, that outfit's totally not appropriate for the event. It's like, okay. What else? Because it wasn't funny, and they didn't add anything to it. I just was like, it went on for so long. It just felt like if they could have meshed it a little bit better, maybe even splicing it with, something kind of similar, like maybe a dark red color of a dress that she tries on, and it flash cuts to the killer, ripping somebody's skin off. I don't know. Like, matching the color, or just kind of keeping the action up and chugging along, because it kind of just felt very stagnant. And then it goes into the dinner scene, which is also so boring. So at dinner with Jay, Allie has this rant that she goes on, and I see what they were doing here because she's portraying this Lifetime movie trope where she's a businesswoman and she doesn't have time for romance and she was hurt before and doesn't believe in love, blah, blah, blah. I see what they were going for. But, oh my gosh, it's so boring. And it also, like, at least make it fun. She's telling off Jay and shutting him down and being nasty. And it wasn't funny. And it felt honestly exhausting to watch. So with Heart Eyes, I felt like it didn't have as good of a balance. And it lacked a strong identity in either of those genres. There are things that I did like for instance, the character design for Heart Eyes. I loved it. I thought that it looked super cool. It actually kind of reminded me with these skin-like elements. It reminded me of Bloody Face from the second season of American Horror Story. I like that juicy skin on there. Also, I love when there's a theming around the serial killer.
I'll tell you what. I love it when serial killers have a fun little thing.
I think that it was really nice to have that strong theming around a serial killer or like horror character where it felt fun. I like the little hearts on the knives. I like that he utilized bows or arrows, kind of like Cupid, and it looked good to me. Additionally, as I said before, I thought the kills were great. I thought that they were unique, they were well spaced out, and there were a few that really did impress me. We opened up the film with a clearly rehearsed and choreographed proposal on Valentine's Day, and it goes horribly wrong. Her now fiance gets hit in the eye with an arrow, and it was so cool. It was like, it kind of extended out too. Ugh. And then the girl starts running away from the Heart Eyes killer. She ends up hiding in this wine press thing. It's like what squishes the grapes. I don't know what it's called. But she becomes the squish grape herself when the killer decides to turn on the machine while she's in there. And her head just pops like that zit that was on Bill Murray and Osmosis Jones.
It would make a little girl very happy.
Drake.
I'm not gonna lie, that scene I think might be the grossest thing I've ever seen in cinema. It never fails to make me queasy. So I think the first one I want to talk about is the one that we saw in the trailer, where it's like the couple boinking in the back of a van, and the Heart Eyes killer, I thought it was a knife, but I think it was a tire iron. He like slams it on the dude's face, like impaling through his mouth, and then he grabs the girl that he was hooking up with and slams her head over top of it, and like she also gets the mouth wound. It's so over the top and so like ridiculously gory that it's kind of funny in a way. Initially, I was like, man, I'm kind of bummed that they showed that in the trailer, so we kind of lose on all that excitement. But they actually added to it, and I thought it was pretty fun. So this is all happening at the drive-in theater, and Allie and Jay need a weapon to fight the Heart Eyes killer. And so they go to the van and they just kind of look and like amp themselves up to pull that tire iron out of the guy's mouth. And you can see that there's like some resistance and they're like struggling with it. And I felt like that added some comedy to it, and it made it a little bit grosser and more like, ooh, squeamish. And so I thought that was really nice. I think the best kill definitely goes to the Heart Eyes killer at the end of the film, and this one is played by Jordana Brewster. If you recognize her face, it is because she played Dom's sister Mia in the Fast and Furious series. In this film, she plays a cop named Janine Shaw, and her partner is Hobbs and Shaw. That is a spinoff of the Fast and Furious series that totally went over my head in the theaters. I was just like, I feel like there's a joke here that nobody's laughing at. And yeah, it's because it's a Fast and Furious reference. Anyway, Shaw is actually the ringleader in the twist alert. There's actually 3 Hard Eye Killers, and apparently they're a throuple.
Do you understand why I had to punish you earlier? Yeah?
So she kind of started the whole thing because she loved the story of Saint Valentine and how he was a priest that was beheaded. The ending of the film results in Jay getting captured by the Hard Eye Killers, and he is brought to the St. Valentine's Chapel where Allie has come to rescue him. All across the chapel, there are these statues of St. Valentine with like a spear or something, and she ends up getting slammed onto one of them. And what I found really effective is, oof, that's like so brutal to think about. But she was just like too high up that she got pinned up on it, that she could barely put her feet down. And so it's like stabbing her and like she's slowly sort of settling down. Oof. So yeah, she slowly gets.
But if we seriously think he's gonna whack us,
Which we do.
then we should whack him first.
There's also a callback in this scene to one of Allie's little quirks because she carries around a metal straw because she wants to be environmentally conscious, and that ends up coming back in a big way. So she ends up jamming the straw into Shaw's throat. Nice, that rhymes. She jams the straw into Shaw's throat, and I've seen enough episodes of House to know that that's essentially like an emergency trach, and she'll be fine. What I thought was cool is that before she's dying and like, you know, the blood's spurting out and she's bleh, you can hear this like kind of wheezing whistle of the air coming through the straw. I loved that choice. I thought that was so good. Overall, I think that Hard Eyes is definitely like a fun date movie or a movie to watch with a bunch of your friends. And I don't think that it's anything super special, but it's at least entertaining. And that just about does it for my review on Hard Eyes. Have you seen the film yet? What did you think of the villain for this? I kind of liked it. Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, definitely leave it a thumbs up so I know, and please consider subscribing to help out the small channel. I've been seeing all the comments in my previous videos, and I just wanted to say, like, thank you so much. It motivates me, it keeps me going, and I love making content that you all like, so I hope you stick around. And with that, I will see you all in the next video. Don't forget to stay soft and spooky. Bye.